After doing thousands of clue scrolls, it might be time to make a good clue scroll guide. I constantly get asked on stream what the best loadouts are for the different tiers of clue scrolls, so I decided to make a guide. There are timestamps in the video description, so you can skip to whichever part you need. I might not always mention that you gotta bring your Drayman staff, but if you don't have the Elite Drainer and Lemmy Diary done, make sure you bring a spade and a Drayman staff to every single clue. Before I forget, a huge shout out to all the channel members who help out the channel. More about how you can support at the end of the video. Alright, so you really want to grind clues? Then there's one thing that you really need to do right now. And there's something I gotta show you. I've got these Watson teleport scrolls which teleport you straight to Watson, by the way. You can buy them on the GE, but how you get them is you basically use any of your excess master scroll books on Watson and you will get the scrolls. There's a nice board in Watson's house that'll show you how many stash units you have actually built. It's over on the west side of the door. Here you can scroll through every tier of clue and check which stash unit you actually have completed. As you can see, I still got a couple masters to do. It would be useful to go through the wiki and go through this board and actually fill every stash unit before you start a massive clue grind. It's going to take a while, but in the end, it's going to save you so much time. Alright, let's get into plugins. This might be a silly one to include, but you want to use the Clue Scroll plugin. If you play on RuneLite, it'll be on by default, but check it just in case. It helps you out so much. It shows locations of clue scrolls on the map, it helps you with puzzle boxes, and so much more. This is a must if you're grinding clue scrolls. One of the plugins that is incredibly important is bank tag layouts. Now, I didn't used to use this for a ridiculous amount of time. Normally, you have bank tags that look like this if you have the normal bank tab plugin. What this allows you to do is make new bank tabs on the left side of your bank. For example, if I make a new tag like Clue, all the way at the bottom over here, there will be a new tab called Clue. I can just drag any weapon or whatever in there, and it will be in that bank tag, so you can just easily take him out. This gets even better if you combine it with the bank tags layout plugin. Take my jelly tab here. It looks kind of all over the place, and it's still bound to all your tabs at the top of your bank, but with the layouts plugin, you can right-click and enable layout, and drag this around as much as you want. This makes for way faster gearing. This gets exceptionally useful when you're doing hard clues for wildy steps, for example. I'll get deeper into it later, but you can put all your wildy items on the left side over here, and there you go, you're ready for a wildy step. And at the end of this, you'll just deposit everything and take everything else out for a normal hard clue step. It's really good, and I highly recommend it because I haven't been using it for too long. An extra little plugin that is useful for when you're opening a bunch of clues via implings is the Impling Saver plugin. What it does is when you get a clue from an impling, it makes all the other implings in your inventory invisible, so you can't click him anymore and you cannot waste any more implings. However, keep in mind that if you open a couple of jars on the same tick, they will still be opened. So you still gotta do it kinda slowly. Beginner clues. I've done plenty of these, hunting the trusty old Bryophytus essence. You don't need too many teleports and items for beginner clues, but I'll go over them very quickly. The Explorer's Ring from level 2 onwards teleports you to the Falador Cabbage Patch. For this, you need the Lumbridge Medium Diary done. You can also get to Port Sarim by using the Rat Pits minigame teleport and using the fourth option if you have done Rat Catchers. Apart from that, the Skull Scepter is very useful. It teleports you straight to Barbarian Village, where there's a very quick beginner clue step on top of this building. It would also be nice if you can buy yourself a Chronicle, which teleports you straight to the Champions Guild. This you can even buy in free-to-play at Diango, who's located in the middle of Drainer Village. Just trade him, grab yourself a Chronicle, and get yourself some teleport cards. Use them on your Chronicle, and you're ready to go. If you have access to fairy rings, it would be nice to bring a quest cape for one single fairy ring teleport. This would be to the Wizard's Tower. If you don't have Lumbridge and Drainer Elite Diaries done, make sure to bring a Drayman staff. But you could also use a Necklace of Passage, which teleports you straight to the Wizard's Tower. This is a very good option, and if you're doing a bunch of clues, these are also very useful for medium clues, but more about that soon. Once you get yourself a beginner clue that requires you to talk to Reldo, he will give you a strange device. This is what we call a hot and cold clue. If you have the RuneLite Clue Scroll plugin, you can just click it and it'll tell you where to go. But make sure you have it on you when doing beginner clues for whenever you get a step like that. And then we have the dreaded Charlie clue steps. Since the recent update, you can just buy the items and give them to Charlie whenever he asks for them. Back in the day, you actually had to go and get them at that very moment. Because of that, you can now easily just make a bank tab with all the items Charlie needs, or have a couple of them on you. Now you might notice that I don't have any cooked form of the fish, which Charlie could ask, but there is a range right here. On top of that, when Charlie asks for an iron dagger or a leather body, you can just buy it in the shops right above him. You will still, however, need to make the leather chaps though. But that's why you brought the leather. This is what a loadout for beginner clues would look like. In your rune pouch, you have water, dust, law, and fire runes, or 3 of them if you don't have the extended rune pouch, an amulet of glory to get to Drainer Village or Al-Kharid, or have one mounted in your house, and I think the rest is pretty self-explanatory. Also, don't forget your convenience stamina potion. From easy clue onwards, it is important that you start getting your fairy rings together. To start off with easy clues, one of the most important things is the Ring of the Elements. I want you to go and buy that right now. It's around 300k uncharged, and you charge it with any of the elemental runes. Whilst charged, it will teleport you to the respective rune crafting altar, and especially this water one is very, very good. It puts you in the middle of the Lumbridge swamp, which has a lot of easy clue steps. You could also use it as a ring of dueling, so you don't have to actually get rings of dueling, because it teleports you right next to the Alcarid mine. Other possible ways of getting to Alcarid is, for example, the Amulet of Glory, which I hope you have mounted in your house at this point. It only requires 47 construction, and it is one of the best investments you'll ever do. This basically makes your Glory Amulet unlimited, which makes your 12k investment very worth it. Rimington is also a pretty important place for easy clues, and there's two ways to get there. Either you teleport to Ardougne and take the boat over here for 30 GP to Rimington, or you get yourself some Rimington teleport tabs. If you're just running easy clues, I would also recommend you to put your POH in Taverley, because that way you don't have to make Taverley teleport tablets, and a lot of easy clues, I think around 10, are in Taverley. So you'll be able to get across the map to these house portals a lot quicker if you have Rimington teleport tabs and your house in Taverley. If you don't have Kingdom Divided done, this book will be the correct memoirs book. What am I saying? If you don't have Kingdom Divided done, this book will be the correct memoirs book that you get for Client of Corrend. However, this will only hold a certain amount of teleports, so try and get the Book of the Dead as soon as possible. In case you can't or don't want to do the Kingdom Divided, you could also use a Xeric's Talisman. This will teleport you to all places in Corrend too. But the teleports are a little bit less convenient than the Book of the Dead, so I strongly recommend this. Another pretty useful teleport for easy clues is the Skills Necklace, especially the Fishing Guild teleport. There's an easy clue step right here, so you can take it out of the stash and start completing it. Of course, if you have 86 construction, you could use the fancy jewelry box. So with all of that wrapped up, this is what an easy clue loadout would look like. A couple of things I haven't mentioned is the Lunar Staff or Drayman Staff, which you need to enter Fairy Rings. Of course, if you have completed the Lumbridge and Drainer Elite Diary, you do not need the staff. On top of that, we also have the Skull Scepter, which is very nice to teleport to the Barbarian Village, the Book of the Dead, which is really important, but if you don't have it, you can use the Xeric's Talisman and Glory, which are both mountable in your house, and the Combat Bracelet, which together with the Skills Necklace is part of the same jewelry box, will teleport you to the monastery for a very easy clue step. What is this hardcore doing over here? Once we get the medium clues, the transportation method that you want to unlock is Spirit Trays. So starting off with medium clues, there are two items that I deem very important, and items that you don't really need for other clues either. That's the Necklace of Passage and the Slayer Ring. Medium clues have this very typical step close to the outpost, which is a very annoying place to get to. The Necklace of Passage puts you right next to it. This is one of the two clue steps where the Slayer Ring is really good. Now obviously you don't need an Eternal Slayer Ring, you can just buy normal Slayer Rings, but it basically gets you straight to this clue step. Or if you don't have a Mauritania teleport in your POH, it's also a very good option. The Slayer Ring is also very useful because a lot of clue steps and medium clues are in the Tree Gnome Stronghold. So again, if you could only pick two items that are really important for mediums, I'd say the Necklace of Passage and the Slayer Ring are definitely the top two. Another important item that you don't have to bring for any other clue is the Key Ring. This medium clue step requires you to go to the desert mining camp. Now the keyring is a reward from the One Small Favor quest, which basically holds all your keys, but if you just have the metal key from the Tourist Trap quest, you'll be fine. However, this step seems to be quite common, so make sure to bring it if you're chaining a lot of clue scrolls. To follow up on the steel keyring, another thing you always want to bring for medium clues is a rope. For this specific clue step. Now on the same topic, if you don't have a jewelry box, also bring a games necklace to get to the Barbarian Outpost and Berthope. But the Backstorian Falls clue step requires you to bring a rope to get across to this rock and get on this little island. So bring a rope. Now if you don't have 86 construction, it is also very nice to bring a combat bracelet. I don't blame you for not having a fancy jewelry box when you're just getting started with medium clues, so a combat bracelet would do. There's some very nice teleports on there, including the Ranging Guild teleport, which is very nice for this clue. I just accidentally opened the clue scroll. Well, you're getting that one for free. That was supposed to be for a clue scroll completionist episode. On top of the Ranging Guild, there's also the Monastery, Champions Guild, and Warriors Guild teleports, which are very useful for mediums. Not everyone has a Master Scroll book that stores all your teleport scrolls, but the only one I would actually recommend, because it's the only one that's worth paying for, is the Taibo One-Eye teleport. Wait, that's 9k? Alright, I've checked all of them, and the only one that's even remotely worth paying for is the Feldip Hills teleport for 740 coins each. But to be honest, not many of the teleport scrolls are useful for medium clues. You're better off using these teleport tablets. Whenever you play the minigame Nightmare Zone, you get Nightmare Zone points, and with those you can buy redirection scrolls. With these redirection scrolls you can use on your house teleports to make teletabs to any place that has a house portal. The ones that I recommend using for medium clues are the Polvanich teleport, the Rimington teleport, and the Taverley teleport. Let's quickly go over the house teleports that you want. Now, you don't need a portal nexus, you can also have just individual portals. But the ones that I would strongly recommend for medium clues, and I'll list them on the screen right now, are Drainer Manor, Sentiston, Catherby, and Frankenstein's Castle. Santistan might be the most niche in the bunch, but it gets you to the exam center under the dig site. A very good teleport location, even for easy clues. So if you throw everything together, this is what an ideal medium clue setup would look like to me. You do need a weapon, because for some steps you need to kill something to get a key. The Mount Carulum teleport is nice because there is one clue step that requires this. It's not necessary, but it's nice to have. The Fremenic boots to get to the Fremenic area. An Arty cape is useful because there are 2 steps in the monastery, but also make sure you have an Arty teleport to get to Brimhaven via the boat. An Explorer's ring could be useful to get to Port Sarim quick, but you could also use the Rat Pits teleport on the 4th option to get to Port Sarim. And of course a stamina potion to make your life easier. As I already said, there are a couple of things that you could bring for like 1 or 2 medium clue steps, but I'm trying to keep the inventory somewhat clean. So again, a last overview. This is probably what you should bring for medium clues. A lot of achievement diary items have good teleports for hard clue steps. So by the time you're grinding hard clues, make sure you have a good amount of achievement diaries done so you can use these teleports. For hard clues, I'm going to start off with the loadout. This is what it looks like. I'll go over all the items real quick. Obviously, a mounted glory. To be fair, by this point I kinda expect you to have a mounted glory and also some kind of basic jewelry box. The first one requires level 81 construction, so start training your construction. It's time. So I'm not including a ring of dueling or a games necklace in this. Karamja gloves 3 make it so that you can teleport to Shiloh village, and there's a couple of hard clue steps here. This does however require the Karamja hard diary. On top of that, as you can see, I'm not wearing full graceful anymore. I'm wearing black D-hide and some decent gear to kill the Saradomin wizard. I've also got a super anti-poison on me because even if you pray melee, the Saradomin wizard can poison you. For this reason, for hard clues, it is useful to have a pool in your house that can either cure the poison or just cure anything. However, this is a pretty high level construction pool, but it would be highly recommended. But if you do get poisoned, you can also go into your house, leave via the portal, and your poison will be gone. So you don't necessarily need the super anti-poison. On top of that, it would be nice if you had a Pharaoh Scepter. Now, this is not a complete necessity because it's so incredibly expensive. There are, however, 2 clue steps in Sophonim which you would need the Scepter for. You could also just use the Carpet Ride, but that's pretty long. Finally, the Ectophile from Ghost Ahoy would be very nice, a Remington and a Taverley teleport as always. What I don't have on my Iron Man account, but what will be very useful for you guys if you're a main account, is an Ice Plateau teleport for the Wildy Steps. To transition straight into the Wildy Steps, I'll take you guys to the Portal Nexus. Quite obviously, I just have all the Wildy teleports in there. Anna Carl, and then over there, I have the Gorok normal portal. These 2 are an absolute necessity for hard clues. Quick editorial note that a burning amulet is also really nice for hard clues. I don't really use them, but I really should. They're decently cheap and basically put you on the cusp of like 3 hard clues. So bringing a burning amulet for your Wildy steps wouldn't be too bad. I've got my hard clue tab set up so that I can very quickly just take everything out that I need for a Wildy clue, like that. This is everything I bring, including the clue, of course. And when the Wildy clue scroll is done, you just click on everything else in the tab and you're ready to go again. That's how fast you can gear for hard clues. Wildy clues are never going to be an issue again. Again, bank tag layouts. I didn't use them for a while, but please do. Another quick tip for wilderness clues is if you have the wilderness hard diaries, you can actually set a destination on where your obelisk needs to go. So for example, if you have a clue in level 35 wilderness, you can just set the destination and teleport right there. No useless teleporting around with the obelisk. You'll always arrive at your picked destination. And before we go to elites, it is important to mention that you can actually buy a clue box in LMS. These things cost 5 points and will protect your clue at all costs when you die in the wilderness, but it's only a one-time use, so you can make up your mind whether you think that's worth it. Now, if you actually were to die in the wilderness, don't forget to drop your clue scroll. It will stay on the ground for 3 minutes, and since it's an untradeable, the PKer will not see it on the ground. Usually they'll loot your stuff and get out of there before you get back and can pick up your clue scroll again. Now, if you do want to be extra safe, of course you can also just 3-item. You will always keep your clue scroll even if you die above 30 wilderness. As long as you're not skulled, you're good to keep it when you die. Elite clues are the most difficult clue to get in the game, and I'd be surprised if you can grind these out. But if you can, now would be the right time to get a quest cape or a diary cape to get around the map incredibly quick. I'm gonna keep it real with you guys, elite clues are significantly easier than hard clues, and way faster too. This is the limited loadout I usually bring for elite clues. It's also pretty rare that you're chaining elite clues because they're basically the most difficult clue to get. All you really need for these is a quest cape, and by this point when you're chaining elite clues, it might be kind of viable that you have one. On top of that, it gets significantly easier if you have a Pharaoh Scepter. There are quite a couple of steps in the desert to all the Pharaoh Scepter teleports. And then the last thing I included is a Dragon's Medallion. After completing Taste of Hope, you'll be able to teleport right here into the Theater of Blood. If you go out on the left side, you'll be entering Darkmire, where a couple of elite clue steps are. And that's basically it for elite clues. Oh yeah, make sure to bring a trident or a blowpipe to kill the minions. When digging for a coordinate clue, you have a 50-50 chance of either getting a Bandos or an Armadillo minion. And because you can't attack the Armadillo one with melee, you're better off bringing a range or mage weapon. I always choose the trident. By this point, you basically have every transportation method unlocked. So, yeah, good luck with the cryptic clues. And then we're into master clues, which I also have a special tab for. On the left side, once again, all the wildy items, because it does get kind of tricky with these clues, especially if you have to fight an ancient wizard trio in deep wilderness. Once that's done, I just deposit everything and take out everything in this tab. Once again, nothing too special apart from the strange device. This is the hot and cold version of master clues. The only thing similar to this were the hot and cold clues from beginner clues, but these actually hurt you. So every time you're trying to find the location of your master clue, you take damage. Hence why it's good to bring some extra food or have an ornate pool in your POAs to fully reheal yourself when you know where the master clue location is. The rest once again is pretty straightforward. Karamja gloves to get the Shiloh, a quest cape to get your fairy rings. If you don't have a mounted glory by now, I don't know what to tell you. Once again, introducing the Slayer ring and the Ring of the Elements would be really nice for master clue steps. You didn't necessarily need them too much for hard and elites, but here you could probably introduce him again. Just like elites, the Scepter and the Medallion are really nice, and the Xerix Talisman has really good teleports to Zeah, better than the Book of the Dead in this case. But obviously, you can also bring the Book of the Dead, just to get around a little easier. Once again, don't forget your Drayman Staff or Lunar Staff. I currently don't have it with me because I have the Lumbridge and Draenor Elite Diary done, but Fairy Rings are your best friend when doing clue scrolls, so don't forget it. I'll also quickly go over a Mimic setup you could use, but I'm also a filthy Iron Man, and you guys could probably afford way better gear. But this is what I use. These mimics are basically the clue scroll bosses. When opening an elite clue, you have a 1 in 35 chance of getting a mimic encounter. For master clues, this is a 1 in 15. What I usually do is I pre-pot my super combat, bank that again and get another piece of food out, teleport to Watson, with the mimic in my inventory of course, start the fight right here, and do 2 Bandos Godsword specs. From that point on, hopefully the mimic's defense is lowered, and you just kite around the room and try and kill it as quick as possible with your mage gear. Now, a lot of main accounts do it with Dragon Claws and melee, and it's actually a really fast kill if you get down to it, but as an Iron Man, I like doing it with magic. And that's it for the clue guide. I hope this helped you in some way. If there's something you do that you think I forgot, then make sure to leave a comment. I could pin the comment and then we could help other people out. Thank you so much to the executive producers of this channel, the channel members. With an extra special shout out to Jagus Me Up, Humorbot, Sean of Iron, who's new from the latest video, thank you so much, and a mega god shout out to March3258. Thank you so much for helping out. If you guys want to become a channel member, you can do so by clicking the join button under the video. And subscribe if you want to do it for free. Thank you for watching.